Mm-hmm. Sure. And
The internet's working much better. Maybe it's because my home internet's better than work
yeah.
internet. I'm not sure if on your side okay, but
I'm also at my home and it's high speed, so I guess we shouldn't be really seeing some issues with that. Mm. Mm, I just missed up. I forgot to record our session. I just started recording our session right now. Sorry for that. Just we can do now, or do you have any
yeah,
plans
yeah.
for?
You tell me, and then I'll do whatever
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm.
recommend.
Okay, fine. Then I would like to talk about the calculator field. We have like say like hundreds and hundreds of formulas. I can just show you some examples of it. Can we see it right now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yeah. The calculator field. If you just click this particular arrow, it's going to give you something like this. So you can see all the list of functions available in Tableau. So clicking of that will give you a definition here on your right, like say a cos means like arc cosine of a number, and it just gives you an example, or we can just try and make example with case. That's a very commonly used statements. So it's we're gonna just say it give you the syntax here at the top, case expression when. So we can just write some examples here. Case like say label I would like to write as it may be related to our data when it's percentage, then say something like percentage, else you just say nothing. So this is just a simple example to explain you how the case works. It's going to be like a very similar way the if works. Get it, Steve?
Uh, yeah, not really. What does the case do?
Case is nothing but it's going to check this particular value. Say label is nothing but we have a string here, that's our percentage on basically on our data source. It's going to check each value. If it when the label is equal to percentage, we're going to be returned with the output of percentage. Else it's going to just say you nothing, this particular nothing
Oh,
word.
okay.
So it's we can also rephrase it like this, say like label equal to percentage, then percentage, else nothing, end. So these are actually the same ones, but when you have multiple statements, say instead of having percentage we have something like and, consider something like that, we have some different words. So instead of you typing if label equal to again and again, you can just have like this, and you can just have instead of when you can just have something. Say consider for an example, we'll just have we have and in our data, then we'll just say and when it's dollar, say dollar. If it's gonna be on our the if case, if we're gonna use it, it will be like else if label equal to, then you have to actually type if this particular statement again and again. But whereas here you really need not care about it, it's gonna be check it directly. So for all the values of label, it will check the possibilities and it will take the right text. Get the example, Steve?
Yes.
Mm. And whereas a case will always do equals, and whereas on if we can have like say if we are seeing some values, say example just you could use greater than, lesser than, but whereas on case you can have only it's gonna be check whether they are same. If it matches, it's gonna show this. If it's not, it's gonna always go with this nothing. But whereas on if you can have different, say lesser than, greater than, equal to. So they do have some limitation on limitation and advantages. So it's you who has to decide like what kind of calculation you need. So I'd like to show you, if you just click on this particular drop down, you could see multiple, it's categorized as number, string, date, type conversion, logical, aggregate, user, table calculation. So say like it's about 8, I would say, 8 categories. So it says what can those particular functions see. So if you just click on number, these functions which you could see, it just needs a number as an input, and it will give you output of, say, if you're just going with min, best example, min is nothing but the minimum. So when you have multiple values, it's going to just show you the min value and give you output of the minimum of the list which you, or maybe the values which you given. So that's what the min works. So like that way we can have different, say like on strings, you can say, you can just make it the you can have the length of that particular string, or you can just split the string. As I guess you should be remembering that we did have some calculation using the split, where if we have, like, I can show you that something like this. Remember this, Steve? Steve, you there? Hello? Steve, I can't hear you. Steve, you there? Steve, you there?
Oh, hey.
Sorry, my there are some issues with my Wi-Fi modem. Like my friend had switched off it, so I just switched it on back. Sorry for that.
No problem.
He didn't know that I was using the internet, so sorry for that. So we were actually here. So I was saying that we got some 8 categories of different functions. We got as a function in Tableau in the calculate field. So you could know if you're going to use a date, you just have some list here. So you can just have, like, I can maybe give you examples of each of them. And if you could just say like table date name, it's gonna return your date in the words. So that's what these are. So you could see the exact syntax needed, or to say the structure needed for this particular function to work. And this is the example, and we just got some definitions. Got it, Steve?
Yes.
So
And then can you explain the string again? What exactly does the string do?
string is actually, what it does is nothing, but it's going to take a string as an input, and we get some outputs like, say, the length, len, is going to just give you the number of characters of this particular string, whatever you get. So if you give some indicators, it's going to say it has about 30 or 40 characters. Or if we go with something on the split, so you have to just give some delimiter. So if you say, for example, if our indicator has a hyphen here, and we want to see only the first half of the indicator, so you can just say like split indicator comma hyphen comma 1. So it's gonna just show you only the, if you have something like this as an indicator value, it's just gonna show us this particular value alone, not this other half. So that's how the string functions help you on it. Get it, Steve?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And the type conversion is nothing but just changing a string to integer or integer to string. So there will be some cases where you wanted to show a value as a string, like I guess we might face some examples in your classes, but for example, if you want, you have something like this, it's a integer, but if you just want it to shown as a string, so that say for example, uh, I'll just do this apple. So if it just imagine I'll remove the one, so it's gonna like I want to show as apple 1, but if you just add apple plus 1, it's will give you some error. So it says like
Mm-hmm.
can't add string and integer, but I can just put some str before, it's nothing but the string, gives us a string of an expression. So if you just do like this, so our output would be like apple 1. So that's where this type conversion would be helpful. So you can convert anything to anything, or you can just convert a particular string into a date, or convert say you just have 8.3 by 3, it will be you just get an output of it. So it would be useful in that case. Get it, Steve?
Yes.
And the next is just the logical, as we saw before, the if statements, the popular, the logical statements. So we can just give say like if trainee name equal to Steve, then the timings equal to so and so, else reach Rajiv, something like that. We can just have some our conditional statements. So I can just give you some here. The example is like profit is equal to greater than 0 is profitable, less is considered as uh, like else if it's equal to 0 it's break even, and if it's not it's going to be loss. So they just gave some examples here so you can understand each of them. So I guess you should be knowing the difference between and or, right? So if you have something like if like say sales is greater than 1 and profit is greater than 10, then show me yes or something like that, else fail or something like this. So what it does is it makes sure if you use and here, the one here, so it makes sure both are true, like both of them should satisfy the condition, then only it will go here. If it's going to be or, either of if either of the conditions satisfy, it goes here. That's what the and or here. Get it, Steve?
Yes.
So it's going to be our most frequently used is going to be this and or if or this case which is said. So else and else if is nothing but if it's going to be else if you can give another condition like sales is less than 0, something like that. I'll just then you can just have something here, or if it's else it's going to be our default value. So if if any of the conditions does not satisfy, it's gonna by default goes to the else case. So that's what this is. And if null will help you to make sure that if you give some value, if it's null, if null is nothing but the blank, we can just replace it by some say like 0 or something like that. So I might show you this example on our later cases. So in our sheets, if you just pass this is going to be treated as a null. We can just make, if you are wanted to see as 0, so you can just make it 0. That's how it, if null indicate a value comma 0, if there's no value on our data source, it's gonna just show you 0. So that's how this if null works.
Oh, okay.
Other few popular things we may use is like not much. I would say if this Z10, Z10 actually is kind of the same. So if you have Z10 indicator value, if there's a null value, it's gonna say 0 as an output. If it has some value, it's gonna show you the output. Say if you pass this value to that Z10 indicator, it's going to show you 0.46. If you don't have a value, it's going to show return to 0. Like if it is not null, returns the value. If it is not null, otherwise it's going to return 0. That's what this means. That's the logical thing. And aggregate is nothing but having an average, sum, our popular or the aggregate count distinct, and the sum. we might see this fixed on the latest classes. Fixed include, so they are actually called as level of detail. So I may not give you the best example right now, but I will talk about on our later classes. This exclude, fixed, include, these three are one of the powerful and most advanced function on Tableau, I'd say. And other aggregates are very, as you could see, the average, count distinct. I guess you should be knowing it. If you want me to, I can explain it if you like to, or we can just skip to the next one.
Oh, we can skip. That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I guess you should be knowing the difference between the count and count distinct. Yes, Steve, as you're a regular user of Excel, you should be knowing it.
Well, actually, the count and the count D, I don't know the difference. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's count is nothing but the count distinct and count. So maybe I can just give you some examples. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if you make it as count, so what if you just use the function count, it's gonna say we have about the, which you could see here, count 6, so it's gonna be like 6. But when you use count D or count distinct, it will just see how many unique values we have. So even though we have 6 records or 6 values, we actually have only 3. 1 to 3 are our values which are repeated, so it's gonna give you output as 3. So
Yeah. Okay.
this is
Yeah.
how.
No.
Mm. So it might work. For example, the best example to say is like when we might go with count distinct. If you wanted to know how many customers for you, I would suggest you to go with count D. But if you use count, it's gonna count all their transactions. So that would be not our record output. We just want to know the unique number of customers. So then we'll go with count D. That's what this count D will go. So get it, Steve?
Yes.
we
Perfect.
we might meet these friends of this count and county in later classes, but for sure, like, we'll be working with this. So if we maybe try with some advanced dashboards, maybe using some of your data, or maybe the superstore, always we might meet these guys again. And moving to the next, this user, these are nothing but, it's gonna be like, say, give you output of the user who has logged in. So it will be used on a like, say, I might cover it on our last sessions if we get time about it. Like, this is actually for security reasons, we can just use it. So if you give it, say, full name, I'll just explain it in a very high level. So if you just say if full name equal to Steven C, then it's gonna mm, say then true, else false. So in this case, like, it's gonna just check your name, like, it's basically it's nothing but from your Windows name, or your uh, Windows username password. Like, I mean, not the password, sorry, it's actually the your Windows first name and last name. It could be a work or it could be a personal mission. So it's gonna check if that matches with the way value which we give. So if it's true, we can actually use it as a user filter. So if you add it here, you can limit the users of the dashboard, even though dashboard is accessible to everyone. All the, say, even if you're, for example, you have created a dashboard on your indicators, maybe this file can be uh, shared through email, like, as it gonna be like TWBX. If you want to limit the users only to say only your managers or maybe the higher management, you can just add some calculate field and add to the filters. If the guys who do not have access to this, they would see just the blank dashboard, not our the values inside it. Get it, Steve?
Yeah.
So it might be handy for you, but we'll go it at a very last of our training. It's not really complicated, but it's not the priority one which I'd say right now. So I'm not
Okay.
talking about much of all of these. And the table calculations, these we might use these ranks, say, like the rank unique to ranks particular. Uh, like I guess we don't have the person's name here. So if we have some, say like we have some 10 customers, so we can just make use of the rank to just order them and see who's the top 3 or top 5 customers, something like that. And if you can just have some running sum or running average of sales value or something like that. So it's basically a copy of our Excel functions, I would say. And we will use this window functions mm, like if you wanted to know, for example, like if you want, if I use the window count, I can actually make use of it and give you the number of months which has data. It will still show you this particular view, but it also counts how many values which we have on our view, and I can show it here. That's where this window count works. I will give you an live example on the next classes. Okay, Steve?
Oh, great.
Just the basic high level of this. I can just explain you on the numbers, the most frequently used as far as my experience is concerned. Like I have used the square to multiply something. Then instead of having like say square of value, so it's gonna be just the double of it. And the power is just like having like say we have like 5 power 2 or say like mm, 4 power 3, so you can just make use of this. So it can be dynamic, so you can just have like we do not have that particular value, but I'll just assume that we have something like that value and power. So if you have like this, it's gonna take for each of the rows, so value to the power of the value, sorry, well just name something like value power. So value to the power of value power is what we'll get the end output as. Get it, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. So the other functions which I use is the minimum maximum. So on a list, if you have like say you wanted to know who has the minimum value, so you can make use of the min, and you want to see how who has got the maximum threshold or maybe like max value. You can see like if it's going to be 8 in our case, I guess 8 or 9. It's based upon the value. And the other frequently used is the round function. I'll just left it here. So in our data, if you might have noticed, we got like 0.9994. You just wanted to just view like 0.99. You can actually make use of this function round comma value, so round bracket value comma 2. So our output would be just 0.99, not the 0.99942. So in that way we can just limit the output of our data. Get it, Steve?
Yep. Yep.
So floor is going to be very similar to the one which we have on our Excel. So it's just going to be take you to the nearest value. So just if you have like 0.99, it's going to be show you as 1. If it's 0.1, it's going to be show you as 0. So it's just going to take it to a closer integer. That's what it means. And I never really got chances to use the cos, cot, sine. Square root has been useful for me in some cases. Square root, that Z10 which I said before, it's gonna just make, if you have a value is null, it's gonna be converted as 0. That's what this Z10 works. I have not really worked on others. On the string, if you see, the popularly used functions are like say lift. So this happened for me in one of the cases. For in your case, if you want to show only the first 10 characters of the indicator, so you can just type like left. I'll just show it here if you don't mind. Left of indicator comma 10. So it's going to just show you the first 10 characters of your indicator. Get it, Steve?
Yep. Yep.
And when you use it with the right, it's just going to show you the last 10 characters of your indicator. So if you have a very long list of string or say indicator in your case, so you could just limit the number of characters which is shown to the user. In that way, like as you could see here, it's just like say it goes 25 characters, you want to limit it shorter, you can make use of this. And other thing, this R trim and L trim, I guess you should be knowing the trim function in Excel is going to just remove the space. If you have like space sales, if you just use R L trim, it's just going to be sales. It will just remove the extra space before the value, and if you use R trim, it's going to remove the extra space at the end, at the right side. That's the L trim and R trim. And the len function, which I said earlier, len, is just going to give you the number of characters on a particular string. So in our case, if we just give len of indicator, it's just going to give us the number of characters. So I'm not sure how it might be useful for you at this point of time, but it might help you at the later point, or maybe for a different dashboard. So just want to explain.
What does len do again? Sorry?
It's
Len?
just going to give you the number of characters. So
Okay.
on inside indicator, say on length, if you have here say 25 characters or something, it's just going to give you output as, like, I can just show you if you don't mind, number of characters. So we just got here. I'm just going to show you. So you could see the indicator has 34 characters here. So you could see how many characters are there for this particular text here. So that's what it does. Yeah. Other popular functions, or I never really got time to use this, I'd say. Find actually just helps you to search for something. If you say, I'm not sure of the indicators, I've never read the whole complete sentence, sorry for that, but in case if we had like percentage on our indicator itself, I can actually write a function or something like this, say, like this would be useful. Say, find on the indicator, I want my Tableau to search for percentage, and I will be given the location where the percentages are there, or say the best example, I'll just go with character C, something like that. So it's just gonna check where that particular string is there or particular text is there. So you could see we have C on our first character, here on the fourth, here on the 14th, I guess. So you can just see the first occurrence positions. Get it, Steve?
Yep, absolutely.
So it will, I hope it will be useful for you at later point of time. Like those are the common thing, or you can even replace. For example, if you want all the C characters to be replaced with, say, just gonna replace our character or text, say, I want the C to be replaced with A. So if you, in case if you have some spelling mistake or something, it might get handy with you. I'll just replace it here. So you could see here, all the C's are actually A. Can you see it?
Yep, that's great.
So it might get handy if you want to really correct some text or something. That's it for here. On for the dates, the very frequently is like today, you can actually show the current time on your dashboard if you really want to, or you can make use of this to check if you have lots of data and you want to check like something like this, if month here equal to today, then today's data, else not applicable or something like that. So in that way you can just have our data to be dynamic, and this will actually check with our current data based upon the uh, your personal local machine's date. Okay, Steve?
Yep.
So few others are like, you can actually make, wait, I'll just remove this, using month, when you have like month, say month here. So in this way, even though we have our date format, so I'll just show you how data looks. right clicking it, describe, and clicking on load will just give you what are the data available on this particular column. So it has like 718161. Actually we don't have repetitive months. If we have like that, when using month, we'll actually make all the months and we'll give you only just the months as an output. Get it, Steve?
Yep.
So we can, it's the same way applicable for the year, date. So it's just gonna give you something like this on the example. If it's 2014, we have some date here. If you use a year, it's just gonna return as the year, something like that. And other few things is like data add and data difference, which are kind of very popular, I would say. So using the data add, you can add like say, I want my date to be added with 3 months or 3 days. You can just have like day 3. So it's just gonna add 3 days and give you the output of it. So that's how this data on date diff helps you to just understand difference between two dates. Say for example, you have two dates like say uh, indicator measure date or something like that. Another could be like the sample taken date. So you can just uh, have a difference between them and get the total number of days between each of the two dates. So that's what the date diff does. Get it, Steve?
Yep, that's great.
And the table name and table part, like I'll just maybe try to complete this as soon as possible because it might look as a kind of a theory class, I would say, but I just want to, even though we may or may not face the best examples to show each of them, that's the reason I have just going with it. So please bear with me, Steve.
Sure.
So this date name just gonna return you the uh, value whatever you type in the words. So if you just give like months, just gonna give like April, something like that. And whereas the date part will give you, it's kind of same. If you give a date and give month, so it's just gonna give you the value of it. It's like kind of a similar way of using the month, but in a different way. So you can just date part year, date part day, date part week, anything could be here. That's all for this here. Type conversion, I just spoke it earlier, just converting one from one. And logical, I guess I did speak about it before. An aggregate, or as aggregate is concerned, average, count, D, median, sum, these are the minimum, maximum. Those are the very frequently used functions, aggregate functions. On table calculation, I will go through this maybe at the last of our sessions. So these are the high level idea of all the functions which was available in our Tableau. So all the, let it be of any calculator field, we're gonna use only from this particular list. It's not going to be out of this. Okay, Steve?
Yep, yep, yep.
So you might, I believe this might be useful for you at a later point of time. Also, if you just forgot something or if you want to know about it, you can always make use of this particular help or the Tableau official help page where you can know in detail. Maybe they could give you more examples.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So I guess we are kind of done for today's sessions. But if you like to know about something or if you want to ask some questions, you can ask me, Steve.
Yeah, do you have a minute or two? I just had a few general questions.
Yeah, sure.
So, how and where did you learn Tableau? Did you take lessons from Tableau itself, or how did you go about learning it?
Mm, it was actually on my previous employer. They had some internal courses where I learned through it. And also I used the Tableau training video. So I would say like the Tableau training video helped me 50% and my previous employer's internal course helped me 50%. So it was like 50-50.
And the Tableau training videos, you used the ones on the Tableau website,
Mm-hmm.
or because I noticed
Yes.
that they have courses available too and certification, but they also have a lot of quick start videos. Which ones did you use?
The ones which like if you see on help watch training videos, those are the free videos which they have. Like I guess
Yeah.
that's good. It's kind of at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
explains you.
those are the ones I've been doing, yeah.
Yeah, that helps you. On YouTube, you could see people talking about how to make a particular chart or something that would actually help you a lot. So one of a guy named Andy, like I do follow him. So Andy is Krieger, I guess. So he has some channel where he explains to do how to do some particular charts. So you can always make use of those guys' videos.
Oh, excellent.
So these guy
Yeah,
will,
that's great.
they have some Tableau software official channel. I guess they do have some videos on it. So I never really, like there are multiple guys there. So you can just make use of this is actually the official YouTube channel of Tableau on YouTube. So you could just see some videos. They actually had some like finding and cleaning data, building an election dashboard. These are like how to do kind of things. So here actually you could see those videos, which is may or may not be same as the ones which they have on their official website. So this will be helpful for you.
Oh, okay, great. And then I wanted to ask you too, what is your experience with other data visualization software like ClickView, and which one do you like best? Which one do you use the most and would be because my experience has only been with Tableau, so I can't really compare.
Mhm. Even I just never had experience with other like say ClickView or something. I have seen it, like I've seen one of my colleagues using the ClickView or Spotfire. Like whereas ClickView is concerned, it's kind of a like say 50% of thing is kind of a coding. Like it's gonna be like you have to type, and even if these very simple basic things, it's kind of a it's you who has to type it, and other things is very similar to Tableau chat, but it might look little old fashioned, but it's kind of I was said like it's kind of powerful, but I need really not got chances on it. And whereas data visualization is concerned, like other software you should see, like I've tried Power BI, but I really never got chance to create projects on it. But I just played around maybe say like half an hour, 1 hour on it, and it was kind of good. They do have some like our Tableau public, as I said, they do have some gallery where you can find the different types of charts and make use of it and create it. So that was my experience on data visualization tools. I have used some reporting tools, but it does not really come under our data visual analytics.
So, but you think overall, based on the options out there, that Tableau is a good option, that it's a good software, like in terms of the balance of user friendliness and power and and how it looks and
Hmm. Yes, like
because I'm the first one in my organization and I showed a few of the preliminary dashboards to my boss and she really likes it, but I do want to make sure to be diligent, like if I make a recommendation and the organization adopts something that in a month that there's not something that's 5 times cheaper and twice as good, that other people are using or recommending.
no, like I would personally recommend Tableau is good. Like you do have some that user friendliness, so even your boss could just play around with it, and he could create his own or her own dashboards. But whereas ClickView or others is concerned, you always have to rely on some developer who's very skilled on ClickView. But whereas Tableau is concerned, it's not gonna be like that. So in my client side, they actually like most of them has Tableau on a system, and they actually work it on day-to-day activities. So in that case, Tableau is good. And we can kind of like what to say, we can create powerful dashboards using Tableau too. You can have like, it might need some time on it, but you can have powerful dashboards too. Like
That's great.
you could
And
just,
so how about
Mhm.
Spotfire? Is it very technical as well? You need a lot of coding
uh,
expertise or?
I guess it's kind of simpler. I would guess like I've never really, I just saw some few videos about it on the Spotify, but I felt it was like what to say, it was not uh, very as use friendly. Excuse me. It was not as use friendly as Tableau, but I guess it does have some functionality very similar to Tableau. But I'm kind of not familiar with Spotify, I would say.
But that's great, and that's what I'm really looking for is I think a solution that is both very user friendly, but then has some more robustness than what you can do with Excel. And I think Tableau gives us a good balance of the two. And
Mhm.
so thank you for the feedback.
Yeah,
It
sure.
definitely reinforced what I was thinking.
Yeah, sure. As far as my colleague's experience, like uh, I'm not saying from my point of view, it's from his point of view. He says like ClickView is very powerful, but still it takes time on the coding part and writing it. It's not as user friendly as Tableau is, but we can actually recreate what we do on ClickView. So I feel on the user friendly, to be user friendly, or let it be on the visualization also. Tableau is actually trying to cope up the more powerful, like say the joints which we see, like I like to go here. So I said earlier that we can actually combine multiple data sources. First it was not there on Tableau. It was like kind of a drawback to Tableau. But on the Tableau 10 they have added it. So we can have multiple data sources and add it and combine to make a single table or maybe single data source. So
Oh, so
Tableau,
this is new in Tableau 10?
yes, we can actually join only from the same file. But as here, let me just show you here. Here you could have like something like this and join something. Right now it's not right, and that's why we're seeing an error here. But if you have some common column, we can see here. This could be really need not be an Excel. It could be a MySQL server or Teradata or Access file, anything, or maybe just a simple text file. So you can combine multiple data sources to form a single data source. So you just end up with a very single table view, but it combines multiple three tables, which you could see. So it's a very new function in Tableau 10, and there are some other features in Tableau 10 too. Like I can show you if you're interested. Can we? I'll just take maybe another 2 minutes of time.
Yeah, great.
Then
Sure, sure.
then I like to show you like I just got some example on, I just created for my client. I guess that would be helpful for us right now. They do have explained on their website about it, but I'll just go with my example. Should be Tableau 10 demo. So few functionalities of it is just there. You can have scatter plot colored by scattering. So scattering is actually combining multiple measures to make the tableau. It's something Tableau does itself. So it just says this: these guys are one clusters, these are the guys are one clusters, these guys are one cluster. So it's actually some random data. If you just consider as in sales, they say these guys have some, like say uh, this view which we see is actually, I'll just make it automatic so we can yeah, so just have count and members. So these guys have more number members and more counts, and these guys has a moderate, and these guys has more members than but lesser count. So it just has some clustering. It's something new on Tableau. I believe like we could maybe try on our next sessions. And this here, if you just type say Mary, so it's just gonna highlight the one who has the name. So instead of us searching for each things, we just can just type their names here. Or if you want to search for something like this, so it's just gonna be highlighted. It's something very brand new on Tableau 10. It was not on the previous versions.
Yeah, okay.
So the other thing, they changed the color of it, and the names which you can see, they call it as marked label. So first it used to be like black or white. It's you who set it, and here they have made settings where you can just have them matching to the circles or the shapes which you have. So you can see it's red and it's blue. So it's kind of a little visually appealing too. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
another thing is like these sheets which you could see here, they both are from different data source, but they have columns like region in common. So I could say I this filter is called multi-source filters. So you could actually, even though they are from different sources, you can just make use of it to filter your view. So you could see EMEA has been removed. You get this example, Steve?
Yeah, it's excellent.
So these are from different sources. I can just show you here. So this is actually from sheet 1, and this particular source 2 is from different, just a clipboard, just a name. So it's just gonna even though they're from different chips, as we have a common name, I've just used it as a filter. So it was not on our Tableau 9 or something, we did not have this functionality. It's a brand new thing. So if we could have like even 5 sheets together, and if they have some common column, we can make use of it. Instead of us comparing in not the data level itself, we can just make use of something like this. So for your example, I would suggest on the right you could have some indicators value, on the left you can just have some plotted value. We really need not join it. We can make use of this filters to get our desired output. So though they are independent of each other, you could see, like, I'll just select with EMEA. So you just get some information. EMEA has this many members, and EMEA has some, say, or like something, some sales or something. So something like that. So they are totally independent of each other, but they have some common columns. And other things, the colorings, they just change them attractive. Like it was used to be little very brighter, and right now they just made it to be not that brighter. It's kind of little appealing. Another is like you could have some mobile layout. So if you have the end users as a mobile user, you can actually change it so that you can make it, even though if you open this particular dashboard on your desktop, it will be like this, and if you open it on your mobile, it will be something like this. So you can actually have different layout for a single dashboard itself. So that's what this
So, well, I guess that we can talk about that a little bit later on how to do it, but that would be nice to have a mobile and a desktop layout
yes.
for my stuff.
Yes, so even if, in the past, it should be the developer who has to create multiple, like copy of a dashboard to make like this. But on the Tableau 10, it's just like a default thing which you can just make. Just if it's mobile load, just show like this. If it's on a desk load, show it like this. So it's basically a single dashboard. It saves time
Oh, okay.
for the developers and also for the end users. They really did not have to click different links or use different dashboards. They can just rely on a single dashboard and just see how it looks.
Well, great. Oh, excellent. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the feedback.
Yep, sure. So these are like few things. They do have some more new things, but these are like very highlights, I would say, or very the expected features, I would say, these things. So anything else, Steve? Like anything else you would like
No,
to?
that.
Mhm. So they are like the reason why I was actually taking this point is like they are actually the Tableau are developing. They are actually kind of, they have a very active community where they get feedbacks from each of them, and they run many beta programs. So they try to get more feedbacks from the developers and try to make a more better product. So each 6 months or a year they try to publish a next version with better functionalities. So it's
Well,
gonna
that's
be,
great.
it's good as
I
far
didn't
as
realize that it's updated so frequently.
they do have some, like, what to say, the smaller changes should happen every month, I would say. If maybe for, if you, they, very rare cases you might see some bugs here which they try to like, what to say, correct it or fix it up. And whereas the version is concerned, at least for a year, as far as the past 3 years, which I've noticed, like when I started, it was like 8.3, and then we got 9, 9.1, 9.3, and then we ended up with 10.1 is going to be released very soon. 10.0 is what we see here. 10.1 is going to be released very soon, and we are expecting some more new features there. So we're just waiting for it.
Oh, okay.
You can have a try on the Tableau community, so it just can give you some idea of how active that forum is. I believe that might be helpful for you. Even in some cases, you want to achieve something that you might feel like I'm not able to get it. Even personally saying, I have some issues or I had some doubts which I couldn't really solve it. I just posted on the forum. I got some suggestions, and I have been like, got able to get what I want. So that community will be helpful for you. You can just
Oh, great.
the community.tableau.com. That's where the forum which they have, so you can always make use of it after, even after the training. So it just has some question, someone would be replaying it.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Rajiv. I really appreciate it. And then tomorrow I'll see you at 11 o'clock again then?
Yeah, sure, Steve. And I just have something I'm just gonna